Konnichiwa, minasan. So today we're going to go over the kanji that were introduced on the blog yesterday. And I'm just going to take you through them, how to write them, and little pointers on trying to remember them. And let's just see how this goes. All right, so let's start over here. So this kanji, to be honest, I don't think it's all that useful. Does it appear? Yes. But I think the book mainly wanted to teach it to you because it does appear inside or as a part of other kanji. Case in point, this kanji here. So I think they really just wanted to teach you this one. But they're like, hey, it'll be good if they know this. So then they can maybe write this one and learn this one more easily, as well as any other kanji that also has that. So let's start there. These are gates. I think it looks pretty easy in terms of remembering that it's gates. Because it kind of looks like gates. I think of the gates to like a saloon, like an Old West saloon, which are kind of up higher, and you just walk through and you push the gates open and you go into the saloon. Not that you go into the saloon, but you know what I mean. Alright, so these are our gates. How do we write them? We're going to start vertical, finish it up like it's sun, like it's a sun, sun kanji. And we're going to do the opposite over here. And we're going to close it. So, start. And finish. And yes, there's a little hook there. So basically, you're getting the same writing shape or the same order for each of the elements. It's just that you have a long part. And so just make that part long. Alright, and those are gates. It's pronounced mon. And there are a couple other pronunciations. Mon is the one that's going to come up most for you, most likely. Mon. That's the onyomi. Alright, so now that we've got gates, we can add that to this kanji right here. And what does this kanji mean? Yep, that means listen or hear. And what is that kanji inside those gates? Oh, I'm pointing off screen, sorry. Alright, so what is that inside those gates? Yep, that's an ear. And so, kind of makes sense. Your ear is your gateway to doing what? To listening or hearing something. So those are the gates for listening. So it's pretty easy. You're going to do your gates. And you're going to finish with ear inside. I know it's going to be tempting to try to make your gates really big so then you can write ear inside more easily. But remember, all hiragana and all kanji, all of those characters should take up roughly the same amount of space that fits in a square. So if you have a square and you're writing some words, like you want to write the word listen, kiku, or kikimasu. You want to treat each character the same. So I'm going to start off with my hiragana and fit those in these boxes. So if I can fit those into those boxes, I need to fit this entire kanji. So that's not a good one. I need to fit that entire kanji in here. So you got to be mindful of your spacing, and it's okay if it gets a little crunch because, luckily enough, as long as you get pretty close, Japanese people will probably be able to read that as kikimasu, even though it got a little mushy in the middle. Alright, so there's kikimasu. Okay. Ooh, I love this one. When I learned this one, I couldn't stop writing it. So this kanji right here means rain. And then it's often used in a lot of other kanji as an element, like you can see here and here. And when you see it appear, it usually, not always, but usually has the sense of precipitation or weather, some type of weather, typically related to rain or precipitation. And so it's a useful thing to know. Alright, so this one, we got a 1 on top. We've got a hood, we got this vertical element, and then we got some droplets. So for me, I kind of imagine it almost like a reverse umbrella, where it's raining inside the umbrella. you can try to come up with whatever story you want. I don't have anything better than that. But this one, for me, I just liked it so much that it was no problem to memorize it, because it's just a fun one to be able to write. And yeah, when you get a little smaller in size when you're writing it, it's okay if those do turn into dots. It's not a huge deal, because there's not much space, so it's okay if they kind of turn into dots. But technically, they are supposed to be angled lines that are angled down like that. All right. Okay, so if that's rain, what is that one right there? Oops, again, it's off screen. I gotta watch out for that. All right, so what's that one right there? So it's helpful if you can understand this element. I'm going to use red. So the ones in blue are the ones that the textbook actually wants you to know. The ones in purple are ones that I've added for my own purposes. In this case, it's... Oh, wait a second. Did I forget one? I did. Okay. So this one actually doesn't appear on the website. I didn't put that, but I added it today as I thought about it. But basically these I added for my own purposes. In this case, it's just because by extension it's pretty easy to learn, and it's a nice word. This one I've added so that it can help you create a story about that element, because you can see it shares those elements. This one I added because it is pretty common and it helps you create a story for that one. This one is another pretty common one, especially because, you know, Japan's an island nation and they have lots of seafood. But knowing this one, it appears in lots and lots and lots and lots of other kanji as an element, like this one. So it's good to know the base meaning, so then you can... the kanjis can help support each other if you know this base meaning. And then this one, I just don't know why the book hasn't introduced it yet, and you guys should know it. I have already talked about it when I talk about person and 8, but now we're doing it as an official kanji. Okay, so let's get to this one right here. So there's this element inside that kanji. And so yes, that is yo, like katakana yo, but picturing yo is not necessarily the best way to go about it. So instead, you might have the meaning of broom. And if you've heard me talk about these elements before, basically I'm drawing a lot of this from Remembering the Kanji. It's an old book, but that's James W. Heisig, who's a guy who kind of wanted to learn Japanese. He was in Japan and he taught himself the kanji, and he sort of created a method to help him learn them in a certain way. I have criticism for this book in some ways, but I do like the idea of using images and stories to help you remember kanji, because it does help to have a singular meaning or image to go with different parts, and then use that image in every instance of that kanji, or of every instance of that in other kanji, so that the meanings support one another. Anyway, so for me, this is a broom. You can kind of see it as like the bristles of a broom laying down. Whatever, it works for me. All right, so if we can take that as our meaning and apply it here, then basically we've got rain that can be dealt with a broom. And so what's an example of precipitation that you can handle with a broom? Like if it's on a sidewalk or a driveway, that would be snow. Because snow is frozen rain, basically, and so there we go. We got snow. That's at least my story for it. And so like we talked about earlier, all kanji need to fit in a similar sized box. So just because it's got this and this doesn't mean we can write it super big now and write a full rain and then a full that part. You can't do that. You got to make it smaller. So if I'm writing it this big over here, then I need to cut that in half to leave space for that. If I'm writing this that small, I need to write that small. But of course, I'm using an American style pen, which is a little thicker. And you'll notice, like, if you go to a Japanese stationery store, most of their pens are really small. like 0.7 or 0.5 millimeter tips. I don't know what this one is. So I don't recommend using this kind of pen to write that small. But still, I think that would probably be readable to a Japanese person. Barely. All right. So that takes care of those two. And you can see we got rain here, but it also has this element on bottom. And to help you with that, I wanted to show you this one. Mainly because that one's a fun one. Plus, I see it on some kids' t-shirts. I'm still not sure what it is referring to on those t-shirts, but yeah, that has that I've seen that appear. So let's talk about it. Let's bring that down here. Use some of this space. So we've got a hook. We've got a sun. Another sun. Oops. Wait a second. I wrote that wrong, didn't I? Oh my gosh. The line goes through it, Matt. Why are you doing this? It goes like that. I don't know why I didn't remember it right up there. That's strange. Now I'm all doubting myself, so I better check. Please hold. Oh, jeez. Now I'm not even looking up the right thing. 534. Yes. Oh my goodness. Gosh. Okay. So, this basically means tortoise. Like a turtle. Alright, so this is a tortoise or something like a turtle. Alright. So, how do we get from here to the other thing? Basically, the bottom half of this, according to this book, let's call that an eel. It's not an actual kanji by itself that means eel, but when it appears in other kanji, take on the meaning of eel, and it can make it have some nice stories to help you remember it. And so you can also build up to this one. So a turtle is basically like a eel that's got a beak, because they're kind of hard, and they have like a shell on top. I don't know. But that's tortoise, kame. And then this we're going to take as just an element, so it's not a kanji by itself, but as an element that means eel. So now let's add that together. So we've got precipitation, and we've got an eel on bottom. I don't know about you, but when I think of eels, I almost automatically think of electric eels. And so let's imagine you've got some rainstorm and you've got an electric eel, magic electric eel up in the sky, and there we have lightning. And so this has the meaning of electric or electricity. It's a good one to know. It'll pop up in stores that sell electronics. It's in phone, it's in electricity, so it has lots of uses. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to, or why they want you to know it, is for that. Do I really care if you know tortoise? Not really, but I just wanted you to kind of get a feel for where I got this element from and how I use it in a story so that you can hopefully remember it more easily. All right, moving along. Okay, so now we have this kanji right here, which means fish. We've got a hook on top. We've got a rice field underneath that. And at the very bottom, we've got a campfire. So this is what this kanji turns into when it's on bottom. This is fire. When I see it like this, I think of it as a campfire. Like an open campfire, you're out in the woods and you have a circle of stones and you got a campfire going. Yeah, so I honestly am not sure how to get this into a story. Well, actually my story, I think I started off with thinking of, you catch a fish with a hook, you throw the bones in the rice field, and you cook it over a fire, a campfire, and then you got fish. As I said on the website, when you see this squished to one side, it's just going to be a specific type of fish or sea animal of some sort. But yeah, definitely going to appear in Japan a lot because they, again, are an island nation and they eat a lot of fish. Oh my gosh, this has already been 15 minutes. Okay, I'm going to try to go fast, but not too fast. Alright, so we got fish here. Alright, next we have this kanji that we're going to start off with. This is the extra kanji, but again, I think it's good to know. One of its main readings is uchi, which I think we all already know as meaning house. And it can have two sort of meanings. It can mean inside, it can mean house. And in some ways, it can actually mean like I or me. Typically, actually in the expression uchi no, meaning my. So like belonging to my house, to my family. So uchi no haha means specifically my mom, or uchi no kuruma, the car that we use in our house. So sometimes you can use this to mean my, when you say uchi no. All right, but yes, it means inside. So we basically got a hood and a person. I imagine if you've ever gotten a X-ray, they usually will give you this like thick, heavy pad. I think it's got lead in it to help block parts of your body that they don't want to see. And then they'll take an X-ray so they can see inside your body, basically. And so you got part of your body covered, and then part of your body not covered, and so they can see inside you when they do the X-ray. That's my little story for that one, meaning inside. So now we've got, for this one, I'm going to use blue. So now for this one, we've got inside and person. So what's inside a person? Meat. And there we've got the kanji for meat. It's a little morbid, but I think you've probably heard of zombies before. Anyway, and the pronunciation is niku. Alright, so that's a fun little one. Pleasant imagery. So now we got this one. This one can mean cheap, which is the main meaning we're going to probably see it as. But it also has the meaning of like relax or calm. And that's the meaning that I usually used, actually, was relax for my story originally. Alright, let's take a look at what we've got. We've got a roof, like a roof of a house. At least that's what I use as the story, or as the meaning in my stories, as an element. Because it's always on top of a kanji. And so it's nice to have a meaning or an image to go with it that references being above or on top. And so for me, that's the roof of a house. There are a couple others that are kind of like that. I'm just going to jot them over here really quickly. That one right there without the little doodad. That one's a crown in my stories. This one without the little things on the side, that's a top hat. When it has these three things, that's a schoolhouse. So I have a few different elements that go on top like that, but it's good to have separate individual meanings so that you can tell them apart and you can create good stories so that you remember your kanji better. So here we've got this one. This one's the house roof, the roof of a house. All right. Oh, and by the way, one of the reasons that those have those meanings, at least for two of them, is because of kanji that they belong in. So this is the roof of the house, and it's also in the kanji for house. This is the crown, and it's actually used in the kanji for crown. This is a schoolhouse because it's used in kanji that mean memorize and study. Top hat, not so much. I don't think it has a story that relates to top hat. Just kind of can easily look like a top hat. All right, I'm getting sidetracked. So we got the roof of the house, and what's that kanji underneath? That's a woman. And so, basically, you got to come up with a story of a woman in a house being cheap, or a woman in a house meaning relax or calm. And I think you probably can see why I went that way. I imagine, look, there are no kids in the house, so that woman can finally relax and be calm. So a woman alone in her house is relaxing and being calm. Yeah. Or you can try to go the other way. Up to you. I don't judge. All right. Moving on to this kanji. Oops. See, again, I gotta look at the screen so I can see. We're gonna go to this kanji. Hoo-wee, this one's a tough one. All right, this one, actually, well, it's just a little complicated. All right, so this one means to go, come, return, home. So it's returning home. Home is sort of a core part of this. Occasionally you might see it used to just mean to go back to a place, but typically when we use this verb kaeru, it's to mean going home specifically, returning home, coming home specifically. All right, so now let's take a look at the different elements. We've got that element. We've got that one, which we saw previously as a broom. We've got that one, which we talked about as meaning a crown. And we've got that element. Well, if I write it nicely, that's what it's supposed to be. Oh my goodness. Okay. So those are the different elements. In my stories, this by itself means a towel, but if we add a little crown on it, it means like an apron. In my stories, that's a saber, so like a specific type of sword, a saber. And again, we know that means broom. So, ignore the sexism, but I imagine a brave warrior with his saber coming home, and there's the wife with her broom and in her apron waiting for him. And so together that means go home. So he's got his sword, he's walking towards his wife with the broom in her apron waiting on him to come home. Alright, so that's my story. Do you have to use it? No, but just letting you know that's the one I used. Okie dokie. So now we've got these two kanji. So again, I added this one because it's a useful one to know, and it helps you build stories for this one and many, many other kanji that do include that as a part or as an element. So this one means shellfish, and it's basically I, like the kanji that means I, with those three little things. Alright, so we've seen this kanji before, which is an I with those two little things. So what's the difference? So for me in my stories, those are human legs. See how they're nice and long, and maybe someone showing off their shoe, and that's why they have their foot stuck out over there. These are animal legs. They're a little more stubbly, they're short, and they can even be like insect legs. Alright, so that's the difference. So we're not worried about this one right now. I'm worried about this one. This one's shellfish. So what's a shellfish? I think right away of something like a clam, which can open up. So I think of that as something like an animal that looks like an eye. But clams can actually move around. They're actually animals. And so to help us know that it's not just like an eyeball thing, it's actually an animal, we have some little legs on the bottom. And so together that means shellfish. It's usually pronounced kai as the kunyomi, but it does have some onyomi. I think it's the kunyomi. I could be wrong. Anyway, kai is its usual pronunciation. Alright, so now let's take that and bring it up here. Oh, another thing that makes this nice is if you've read anything about, different cultures around the world, you've probably heard that shells have been used as currency, as money, basically, in different cultures, because they were seen to have value. And so, for me, a lot of times in stories, yeah, it does have the meaning of shellfish or shells, but I also have that extended to like meaning money. So shells meaning money. Anyway, it's going to help make sense up here when we learn this kanji now. So this is one that's from the textbook that they want you to know. So now we've got an eyeball lying down on top of shells. So what I say for my story is I lay my eyes on it and I want it, so I put my shells down to buy it, because this kanji means buy. So this kanji is kau. The ka part is the part that gets the kanji. So how I would write that like this. Kau. Kau. To buy, or kaimasu. So this is the kai and kaimono, to do some shopping. So to write kaimono, you would write it like this. Kaimono. For shopping. Alright. And our last kanji. Oh my gosh, we're at 26 minutes. I can't believe it's been this long. Alright, so we have this kanji, which I'm adding in. This kanji means enter, go in, insert, put in, pour in. It's got a lot of meanings, but it has to do with going inside, to enter into something or put something into something. It would be the opposite of this kanji, going out, putting out. So we have putting in and putting out, going in, going out. Those are opposites. Alright, this kanji you can see is basically the mirror of person. So you'll want to watch out. This one is person. This one is enter or go in or put in. So notice that they just face opposite directions. When you see person typed as a kanji, it looks like that, or something like that. When you see enter typed as a kanji, it's going to look like that. So it's got a little thing facing the, they touch, and it's angled at the top. I don't have necessarily a great story for this. This one you just got to memorize, I think. If you can come up with a story for yourself, awesome. But there we go. That's enter. I think I've taught it to you before in the kanji combination like this, which is iriguchi. Sorry, struggling, probably because it's been almost 30 minutes. That's iriguchi for an entrance, and then it would use this one over here, deguchi, for an exit. But there we go. Lots of kanji. I hope this helped. I'm sorry it was so long, but hopefully you got some laughs out of it at me being a fool, or forgetting things and having to look them up. Oh my goodness. I'm tired. Okay. Good luck. Enjoy yourselves. Study on Quizlet. Study by writing them, and show me pictures of what you do. I look forward to it. Take care.